Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, we're going to be looking at some off-season winners for the Las Vegas Raiders, and I have these players ranked from 10 all the way down to 1. I'll say this, you don't have to be a winner just based on your play in terms of OTAs and minicamp. Something could have happened to you this offseason that made you a winner, which is what I wanted to throw out there. Right now, though, we are losing, and I do not want to lose the Seahawks today. We are doing a July sub battle. Seahawks today's got 95. We got 65. In my mind, I'm going to be competing against Seattle because that's the team that we go up against in that first preseason game. And with everything going on around Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, I feel like the Seattle Seahawks always get brought up. So if you want the nation to take down the 12s, hit that subscribe button. Let's go to number 10 here on my list of off-season winners before training camp. And you know what? I'm going to give some love to my guy, A.J. Cole, who signed the biggest, most lucrative contract of any punter in National Football League history. He had 1 year remaining on that deal. He ended up signing a 4-year extension worth $15.8 million, and because of that, I'm naming A.J. Cole a winner. I didn't want to, literally one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing the show the way that I'm doing today is kind of because of Cole, because I know that we don't really talk about the punter position, and I know that we don't really discuss the special teams unit, especially in the offseason, because when you do, that usually means something bad. But A.J. Cole is going to be tied with John Spytek for the next 5 years. He's the best punter in the NFL, and to me, he's a winner, and that makes the Raiders a winner. Let's go to number 9 here. I'm going to throw out the name of Geno Smith, who the Las Vegas Raiders traded for this offseason. I'll say it. I actually think that Geno coming over to the Raiders is in a better situation with him in Seattle. Do I think the Seahawks had a better wide receiver unit? Yes, I do. But I'll also say that Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and the skill set of players that we have around Geno might be better than what we had in Seattle. I guarantee you this, the offensive line is going to be better than what Geno was dealing with over the past few years. But then also on top of that, he did get a contract extension. I mean, anytime you're a quarterback and you don't know if you're going to have a job, because it was kind of looking like Geno wasn't going to be the QB in Seattle anymore. They obviously had their eyes on Sam Darnold, and now he gets a brand new opportunity with the head coach that helped him turn himself into a NFL starting caliber quarterback, and then you combine that with a offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly, a quarterback coach in Greg Olsen, somebody in the front office of Tom Brady. If I'm Geno and I'm looking at myself being like, all right, I know I'm a journeyman quarterback. You got John Spytek, who's done work with journeyman quarterbacks. Pete Carroll's done work with Geno. I literally think that the best situation possible Geno could have landed in is with the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's go to number 8 here on my biggest off-season winners before training camp. I'm going to put Maxx Crosby on this list. And when you discuss Maxx, I think one of the things you got to look at is the Raiders listening to Maxx Crosby. And you know what? Let's ask this question here. It's going to be the pinned comment on today's show. Who do you think is more vital, more important to the Las Vegas Raiders' success this upcoming season? If you think it's Geno Smith, I want you to type GS. If you think it's Maxx Crosby, I want you to type MC. My answer coming up here after this YouTube ad break. I actually think a lot of people are going to type Maxx Crosby, but I'm going to go with Geno Smith, and it's simple as this. Quarterback is more important than defensive end. But with that being said, I do want to show a little bit of love here to Maxx, and I call him an offseason winner because he signed a 3-year extension worth $106.5 million. At the time, he was the highest paid non-quarterback in the National Football League. But let's also consider of what Maxx asked for this offseason. He asked for the Raiders to retain Patrick Graham, for the Raiders to retain Rob Leonard, to add a lot of these players on the defensive line because he was sick and tired of all these new faces. Mark Davis, John Spytek, and Pete Carroll listen to Maxx Crosby. He's also fully healthy. He's motivated to show the entire world that he's the best defensive end in the NFL. And because of the paychecks, because of who the Raiders ended up bringing in, I'm going to consider Maxx Crosby a big offseason winner. Let's go to number 7 here, and it's going to be rookie cornerback Darien Porter. He was drafted in the 3rd round, 68 overall, and he's been working with the ones all offseason. I also know what Pete Carroll is best at, and he's the best at molding long, lanky, athletic cornerbacks and cornerbacks that are like a sponge. I know the name that always gets brought up when you talk about Darien Porter is Richard Sherman, but I actually want people to sit back and look at how alike Porter and Sherman are from their on-the-field standpoint, but then especially on the off-the-field standpoint. Sherman was a genius, right? Like, you don't go to Stanford unless you are a really smart human being. And Darien Porter's also a very intelligent human being, and you can hear them talk about that, and he's picking it up quickly this offseason. He added 15 pounds to add a little bit more bulk. That way he can go up against some of these true outside X receivers in the National Football League. He's long. He's lanky. He's going to get a chance to start, and he's going to get a shot to work with Pete Carroll, somebody who has helped develop cornerbacks everywhere he has gone. Let's go to number 6 here. I'm going to give this one to Michael Mayer, and I'm going to say that for the first time in his career, he is going to get used, and he's going to get used in the right way. I know how much the Raiders were really trying to get Mayer involved, and the time that I have, because I always write down notes in the offseason, during mandatory minicamp from June 10th to June 12th, I have written down in my notes the number one player the Raiders tried to get going was Michael Mayer. And that's probably a time where Chip Kelly's like, all right, like, let's see what we got in this young guy. And then they go out, they try to figure out what they have in them. And then obviously just a few weeks ago, when there was all the rumors around the Miami Dolphins and Geno Smith got dealt, the Raiders flat out said, we're not interested in trading Michael Mayer. So the fact that they told you, we want to keep him on our team, and this offseason they have really been trying to get him going, they are finally going to see the 2 to 3 tight end sets that a lot of us are hoping for. And I'm sure Mayer entering this offseason was going, well, where exactly do I stand? Brand new regime again. We have Brock Bowers. I think Mayer probably wanted to go, you know what? I know that I have a future on this team, and the Raiders made it very clear to Mayer that he has a future on this team, and I think that you're finally going to see him live up to that expectation, because I thought he should have been drafted in round 1. Before we get into our top 5 players here that I would consider offseason winners, I don't want you to be a loser if you're not wearing the right gear for the summertime, and it's skies out, thighs out. If you're wondering who let the dogs out, and by dogs, I mean your legs, if your pups have been stuck in jeans or sweats for the last few months, set them free with the Line Swim collection from Chubbies. Whether you're poolside, lakeside, or oceanside on that long-awaited vacation, these trunks are ready to travel. Life's too short for uncomfortable swim trunks, so these babies are set up for all-day comfort with a quick dry stretch fabric and a built-in liner that actually does its job. No more chafing, no more soggy butt, no more mesh disasters. And when the sun goes down and you're heading home from the beach to dinner, swap into a pair of Everywhere shorts. They fit right, feel right, and go with everything. And after wearing them once, you'll find yourself wondering why you even only own one pair. I'll tell you this. I wore some Chubbies over the weekend. It was 4th of July weekend. I was with my wife, Alex, and the family. And my favorite pair of swim trunks for 4th of July is the Chubbies ones. Now, it's because they're red, white, and blue. But my point is this. Whether you're suiting up for cannonballs, cookouts, or casual Fridays, Chubbies has you covered. And for a limited time, Chubbies is giving our listeners 20% off your order with our code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com. That is code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com. Support the Raiders Report. Tell them that we sent you. Summer's here. Dress like it in Chubbies. I think the other part about Chubbies that I always wear that I love, in the summertime, it's all built on comfort. It's built on looking good, and it's built on keeping me cool. That's what I care about in the summertime. And if you care about that as well, that link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Even this, Chubbies, and I love it. Let's go to number 5 here on our off-season winners before training camp. I'm going to give some love to DJ Glaze. This has been another dude that we haven't heard all that much about, and you know why? It's because he's been handling business, and he's been standing on business. He showed that he deserved to be the right tackle this year, and there was a lot of, question marks of whether or not the Raiders would take an offensive tackle in round 1 because of how much Spytek values the offensive line. The moment the Raiders decided to go with Ashton Jeanty and not somebody along the lines of an Armin Membu, Glaze had to go, that's a big win for me. And this regime, I'm telling y'all, believes in Glaze. It's one of the reasons why they went out and got Alex Kappa so early. It's one of the reasons why you're seeing Thayer Munford now being kicked over to the left guard, because they believe they have bigger holes elsewhere. I know how confident the Raiders are in Glaze, and I think another thing that kind of illustrates to me their confidence in him, and I do expect Colton Miller to get an extension done. And damn it, I'm hoping that it's sooner rather than later. But there is a part of me that goes, for the Raiders to not extend Kolton Miller yet, and I get it, they drafted Charles Grant and they drafted Caleb Rogers. For you to not extend that guy that's been protecting your offensive tackle position for a long time since 2018, I think it also means that you're extremely confident of what you got on the other side of the football. Let's go to number 4 here. It's going to be Dante Thornton Jr., and this guy is an alien. He is a freakazoid, and I can't wait to interview him this Thursday, which if you didn't know, we're going to interview him this Thursday. He's been working with the ones this entire offseason, and the Raiders drafted Jack Bech in the 2nd round. They drafted Thornton in the 4th. Thornton's been working over top of Jack Bech, and he's been that outside receiver. Also, great field stretcher. You're looking at pairing him with somebody along the lines of Geno Smith, who's one of the best down-the-field throwers in the league. He's been great during practice. He's been great off the field. I'm telling you, there's a lot of players that love what Thornton brings just in terms of his personality to this Las Vegas Raiders team. Quite frankly, I think it's kind of like the perfect fit with Pete Carroll. He's going to be somebody that also is a phenomenal decoy, and because when he's on the field, you have to be able to go out there and respect that speed. But I did say this, and I can't wait to do this. This is going to be one of the coolest interviews I think I've ever done here on the Raiders Report. It's going to be Thursday, July 10th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you're subscribed. He's going to be on here answering questions for 30-ish minutes. So if you want to be able to sit down, hear what the Raiders rookie has to say, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you tune in this Thursday, July 10th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's go to number 3 here on our list. It's going to be Jeremy Chinn. He signed a 2-year, $16 million deal this offseason. The reason why I'm considering him an offseason winner is because out of all the players on the defensive side of the football, I would say the one that created the most headlines and the guy that I'm kind of expecting the most out of on defense, not named Maxx Crosby, is going to be Jeremy Chinn. And I say that because he was the best and most consistent defender this offseason, not named Maxx Crosby, right? I kind of like when I make that note, I think almost you got to put the asterisk, not named Maxx Crosby. But when the Raiders lost out on Robert Spillane, and you have 2 brand new safeties, right? Marcus Epps, Trevon Merrick, they're gone. You're going to look at Jeremy Chinn to replace Epps, Merrick, and honestly, Robert Spillane. He's going to play a Cam Chancellor type of role, and when I think of Cam Chancellor, I think of a legit safety linebacker hybrid, somebody that's going to bring a lot of toughness, and I do think that he's a sneaky candidate to be a team captain. Coming in here at number 2 for our offseason winners before training camp, I'm going to go with Tre Tucker, and I know this is probably a little bit of a high hope situation, but Tucker deserves it, and he was phenomenal this offseason, showing the speed, showing the acceleration, showing that he can catch the football, be a reliable target down the field. I would say right now he is wide receiver 2 behind Jacoby, and after the Raiders drafted Tommy Mellott, Dante Thornton, and Jack Bech in the draft, I was sitting here going, I think Tucker's in trouble, but he knows that this is his 3rd year. He knows this is time to put up or shut up, and he's already starting to develop some of that chemistry with Geno Smith, and I kind of think that you're going to see the chemistry very similar to what Geno had with somebody along the lines of Tyler Lockett. But for the first time in Tucker's career, he's going to get an opportunity to play with a real-life NFL quarterback, and I can't wait to see what he does. But coming in at number 1, the biggest offseason winner for the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm going to give this one to Ashton Jeanty. And everything we've heard, everything we've seen around Jeanty is this guy's the real deal. I also think what the Raiders did this offseason is they built around this guy, and they did. Look at what they did in free agency. They added a lot of depth. They wanted to make sure that they were going to have a lot of pieces just so they could make a deep playoff run. I think the Raiders also looked at what Philadelphia did with Saquon Barkley. And then the draft from top to bottom, I could sit up here and tell you why the Raiders took every single player and why it translates to helping benefit Ashton Jeanty. Because I really do think that the Raiders made sure this offseason that they said, you know what? If we're going to spend a draft pick at number 6 on Jeanty, we got to make everybody else around him make sure that Jeanty is the best player humanly possible. He is a great football player on and off the field. He is a humble human being, and he is the perfect fit for this Pete Carroll compete mentality. So here are my top 10 Raiders offseason winners before training camp. And if you made it this far in the video, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you're going to get another video on my Raiders offseason losers. But if you could, I saw a few people over the weekend did tag me on Instagram, and they did tag me on Twitter. If you want to take a screenshot of that last one, my top 10 Raiders offseason winners, and tag me on IG, tag me on Twitter, believe it or not, it does mean a lot to me, especially since you guys are watching these videos in the middle of July.